I stumbled upon Lynn, she getting rejected after confessing to the new transfer student. By the side of the noisy basketball court, she kicked irritably at a mineral water bottle on the sidelines, her ponytail swinging with the movement. Her fair cheeks were tinged with a faint blush under the sun. The boy in the blue and white school uniform stood to one side, clutching an unopened sports drink, scratching his head in bewilderment. I walked over from the court, holding a basketball. The boy, as if seeing his savior, hastily sidestepped me and ran off. Jiang-yi, Lin, she turned and glared at me, not even noticing that the laces on her canvas shoes had come undone. You did that on purpose, didn't you? The coach sent me to get water. I held up the empty water bottle in my hand, my gaze falling on her untied shoelaces. Your shoelace is undone. She glanced down, took half a step back, and ground the tip of her shoe into the dirt. None of your business. The evening breeze carried the scent of grass and trees. She suddenly kicked a basketball at me, hitting my calf. Here, this is for you. I picked up the ball and bounced it a few times. Seeing her slinging her school bag on to leave, I followed her as if possessed. Walking together, she stopped in her tracks, pulled her wallet out from the side pocket of her school bag, and shoved 2 red bills into my hand. This is 200 yuan. It's to buy you not walking the same way as me today. My fingertips brushed against the warmth of hers. I stood there, clutching the money, and watched as she plunged into the crowd without a backward glance. During evening self-study, the guy at the desk in front of me nudged my arm. Did you see just now? Lin, she confessed to the new transfer student from the next class and got rejected. I twirled my pen, my eyes fixed on the back of the figure with the ponytail diagonally in front of me. She was hunched over, doodling little figures on a piece of scratch paper, drawing one only to cross it out, the tip of her pen nearly piercing the page. When the bell rang to end the school day, I blocked the classroom doorway. Lin, she looked up and saw me, her brow furrowed. What do you want now? I waved the 200 yuan in my hand. I've accepted the money, but I'm on duty today, so I'll walk you when I lock up. She clutched her school bag straps, her cheeks puffed out like an angry hamster. Jiang-yi, are you insane? Lin, she has hated me for a long time. She thinks my mom and I are here to steal her father. When we were kids, she hid my new game console in the doghouse. As I turned the whole house upside down looking for it, she hid behind the curtains, snickering. I pretended not to see her. The next day, I deliberately said in front of her, forget it, I didn't like playing it anyway. She was so mad she ignored me for the rest of the day. On her birthday, Dad painted her room her favorite shade of lavender, but she threw the stuffed rabbit I gave her out into the hallway. I picked it up, washed it clean, and placed it in the most conspicuous spot on her desk. When she found it, she glared at me with red-rimmed eyes. Who told you to pick it back up? It would be a shame to throw it away. I scratched my head and handed her the packaged strawberry cake. Happy birthday. She didn't take it and ran back to her room, but in the middle of the night, she secretly brought the cake back inside. I peeked through the crack in the door and saw her taking small bites, cream smudged on the corner of her mouth, like a cat that had stolen a fish. I discovered that Lin, she was actually very easy to coax. She would say she hated me, but when I sprained my ankle playing basketball, she would awkwardly help me to the infirmary, muttering, if it weren't for my uncle telling me to watch you, I wouldn't care. When I was punished by the teacher and made to stand in the hallway, she would sneak me a piece of candy when no one was looking, and as the wrapper rustled, she would say fiercely, don't you dare tell anyone. Once, during a mock exam, she failed her math test and was crying at her desk. I offered her my notebook of corrected mistakes, but she swatted it away, shouting, get lost. The notebook fell to the floor, its pages scattering everywhere. I crouched down, picked up the pages one by one, put them back together, and placed the notebook on her desk with a note that said, I'll teach you what you don't know, free of charge. The next morning, during self-study, she returned the notebook to me with red-rimmed eyes. It was filled with neatly written-out solutions. When the second year of high school began, Lin, she was assigned to the liberal arts class, and I was in the science class. She thought she could get rid of me this way, but she didn't expect me to block the doorway of her classroom on time every day after school. Jiang-yi, what on earth do you want? She was cornered by me at the top of the stairs, looking up at me angrily. Sunlight streamed through the window onto her face, so clearly that even the fine hairs were visible. To walk you home, I shook the school bag in my hand. Uncle told me to take care of you. Who needs you to take care of them? She pulled her wallet out of her pocket, counted out five $10 bills, and stuffed them into my hand. This is $500. Buy yourself a month of not appearing in front of me. I clutched the money and watched her turn and run away, smiling. The next day, I showed up at her classroom door as usual, this time with a cup of the bubble tea she loved. I've accepted the money, but walking you home is an additional service. Lin, she's deskmate, secretly told me that she was writing bad things about me in her diary. Jiang Yi is a big idiot. Jiang Yi is so annoying. Jiang Yi looks kind of handsome when he's playing ball. Apparently, she scribbled over that last sentence again and again. I pretended not to hear. I just added an extra tea egg to the breakfast I brought her every day. She would eat it with a frown every time and then say, "Don't buy it next time. It's a waste of money." Once during free time in P.E. class, a few girls surrounded her, teasing. "Lin Shi, does Jiang have a crush on you? He's always trailing after you." Her face flushed crimson in an instant. Stiffening her neck, she retorted, "Nonsense. He's just a tag-along." I happened to be walking by and heard her. I stopped and smiled at her. "That's right. I'm your tag-along." Furious, she spun around and ran off, her ponytail swinging high. I heard the girls' peals of laughter behind her. I rubbed my nose, thinking she actually looked pretty cute when she ran. On the last mock exam before the college entrance exams, Lin, she performed poorly and was hiding on the rooftop, crying. When I found her, she was hugging her knees, her shoulders hitching. "What are you crying for? It's not the actual college entrance exam." I sat down beside her and offered her a pack of tissues. She didn't take it, instead crying even harder. "I'm definitely not going to get into the university I want." "How could that be?" I poke her back. "You've worked so hard, you'll definitely be fine." "You're not me. How would you know?" She lifted her head, her eyes as red as a rabbit's. I took a strawberry candy from my pocket, unwrapped it, and held it to her lips. "Have a candy. It's sweet." She hesitated for a moment before taking it, her cheeks puffing out. "I already looked into it. I also applied to the university you want to go to." I scratched my head, a little embarrassed. "That way, I can keep taking care of you." She froze, the candy nearly falling out her mouth. "Who asked you to take care of me?" "I'll take that as a yes, then." I smiled, and as I watched the evening glow in the distance, even the air felt sweet. On the day the college entrance exams ended, Lin, she walked out of the school building carrying a pile of books. I ran over to help her, but she dodged to the side. "No need. They must be heavy." I insisted and took the books from her. My fingertips accidentally brushed against her hand, and she recoiled as if electrocuted, a blush creeping up her cheeks. On the way home, she kept her head down, kicking at pebbles on the ground without saying a word. As we neared her house, she suddenly stopped. "Jiang Yi, Dad said, he wants you to come on vacation with us." "Okay." I agreed immediately, my eyes lighting up. She shot me a glare. I wasn't finished. "Dad said you have to pay for your own accommodation." "No problem." I nodded with a smile, thinking to myself that I would gladly cover all the expenses, not just the accommodation. When we were traveling, Lin, she always kept her distance from me. She stood far away when we took pictures, sat the furthest from me when we ate, and even walked half a meter away from me. My dad noticed and secretly told me, "Xiao Yi, be more proactive. Girls are shy." I thought it made sense, so I got up early the next day to buy her breakfast. Her room was next to mine. I knocked for a long time before she opened the door, her hair messy and her eyes a little swollen. "What are you doing here?" She yawned, her tone drowsy from just waking up. "I brought you breakfast." I handed her the warm soy milk and buns. "I just bought them, they're still hot." She was stunned for a moment, then took the breakfast. "Thank you." Before she closed the door, I saw the corners of her mouth secretly curve upwards, and my heart felt sweeter than if I had eaten honey. On the last day of our trip, we went to the seaside. Lin, she was wearing a white dress, standing on the beach. The wind blew her skirt up, making it look like a butterfly. I couldn't resist taking out my phone to take a picture, but she caught me. "Jiang Yi, why are you secretly taking pictures of me?" She ran over angrily, trying to snatch my phone. I held it up high, and she couldn't reach it no matter how much she tried. So she jumped in frustration. As a result, Her foot slipped, and just as she was about to fall, I quickly reached out to support her. She fell into my arms, her nose hitting my chest, and she let out a hiss of pain. "Are you okay?" I nervously held her shoulders and looked down at her. She looked up, her eyes sparkling, her lips only a few centimeters from mine. The air seemed to freeze. I could smell the faint scent of shampoo in her hair, and my heart was pounding like it was about to explode. Just then, Dad suddenly shouted, "Xiao Yi, come over and take a picture." Lin, she pushed me away like a frightened rabbit and ran off with a red face, leaving me standing there alone, touching my hot chest and smiling foolishly. On the day of filling out the college application, Lin, she locked herself in her room for half the day. Dad asked me to check on her. I knocked for a long time before she opened the door, her eyes red. "What's wrong?" I asked nervously. "Is it not going well?" She didn't say anything, just handed me the application form. My eyes lit up when I saw it. All the schools she had filled in were exactly the same as the ones I had applied to. I was too excited to speak. She turned her face away and said stubbornly, "It's just a coincidence. Who knew these schools would happen to have a major I want to study? MHM, a coincidence." I smiled and nodded, but in my heart, I knew better than anyone that this was no coincidence at all. On the day the acceptance letter arrived, Lin, she was even more excited than I was. She held my letter and stared at it for a long time, a smile never leaving her lips, yet she feigned indifference. "What's there to be so proud of? It's not like you got into Tsinghua or Peking University. Then why are you smiling?" I teased her deliberately. Her face flushed red as she tossed the letter back to me. "Am I happy? I'm just glad you finally won't be bothering me anymore." "How could that be?" I said with a smile. "I can still take care of you when we're at university." She shot me a glare, turned, and ran back to her room. But just before closing the door, she muttered, "Who needs you to take care of them?" Watching her retreating back, I smiled, thinking how she never says what she really means. On the first day of school, I went to see Lin Shi off. Her dorm was on the 3rd floor. I helped her carry her luggage up, sweating profusely. The other girls in the dorm all laughed and teased. "Lin Shi, is this your boyfriend? He's so good to you." Lin Shi's face instantly turned bright red, and she hurriedly explained, "No, he's my brother." "Oh, brother." The girls dragged out the word, clearly not believing her. I put down the luggage and scratched my head. "I'm her stepbrother." The girls suddenly understood and started chattering with questions again. Lin Shi, embarrassed by all the questions, pushed me out of the dorm. "You should go. Don't get in the way here." "I'll bring you dinner tonight then." I added, "No need." She shut the door as soon as she finished speaking, but I could hear the girls' laughter from behind it. College life was wonderful, but Lin, she always avoided me. When I went to her classroom to find her, she would either say she was busy or that she was going to the library. I knew she was just shy. After all, she had always said she hated me in high school, and now that our classmates were teasing us, she must have felt embarrassed. I didn't push her. I just quietly waited for her downstairs at her dorm, brought her breakfast, picked up her packages, and escorted her back to her dorm when she returned late. She would say that I didn't have to, but she always accepted the breakfast, took the packages, and tacitly allowed me to walk her back. Once, she caught a cold and was lying in bed, not wanting to move. When I found out, I immediately went to the pharmacy to buy her medicine and also made her some ginger soup, which I brought to her dorm. When she came down to get it, her eyes were red. "Jiang Yi, are you stupid? I already told you not to worry about me. If I don't worry about you, who will?" I handed her the medicine and the ginger soup. "Hurry up and drink it while it's hot." She took the things and ran back to her dorm without saying thank you. But the next day, she brought me breakfast, my favorite meat buns. Lin Shi's roommate told me that she actually cared about me a lot. Once, she saw me talking a bit more with another girl, and when she went back, she locked herself in her dorm room and didn't come out for a long time. Her roommate asked her what was wrong, and she stubbornly said, "It's nothing, I just can't stand that girl." Hearing this, I secretly rejoiced, thinking that maybe Lin, she didn't dislike me that much after all. I started to approach her more proactively. I asked her to go to the movies. At first, she refused, but when I said I bought 2 tickets, it would be a waste not to go, she obediently agreed. I asked her out to eat, and she said she didn't have time. I said, "I booked a table at your favorite hot pot restaurant," and she immediately replied, "Where? I'll be right there." That day, The school held a dance. I mustered up the courage to ask Lynn she to be my dance partner. She hesitated for a long time before finally agreeing. At the dance, she wore a beautiful dress and light makeup, so beautiful that I was stunned. "What are you looking at?" She was embarrassed by my staring, and a blush crept up her cheeks. "Looking at how beautiful you are." The words slipped out of my mouth, and I only felt embarrassed after I said them, scratching my head. She froze for a moment, the corners of her mouth secretly turning up, but she deliberately put on a straight face. Smooth talker. While we were dancing, her hand rested on my shoulder, and my hand was around her waist. We were so close that I could smell the perfume on her. My heart was beating so fast that my steps were a mess, and I stepped on her foot several times. "Jiang-yi, do you even know how to dance?" She glared at me angrily. Sorry. I quickly apologized, but I couldn't help but laugh. She was baffled by my laughter. "What are you laughing at?" "Nothing." I looked at her pouting face and thought it was extremely cute. "I just feel so happy to be with you." She was stunned, her eyes sparkling, and said nothing. After the ball, I walked Lin-Shi back to her dormitory. On the way, she kept her head down and didn't say a word. Just as we were about to reach her dorm building, she suddenly stopped. "Jiang-yi, I have something to say to you." "Okay, go ahead." I felt a little nervous, not knowing what she was going to say. She took a deep breath, as if she had made a great resolution. "Jiang-yi, I don't think I dislike you anymore." I was stunned, thinking I had misheard. "What did you say?" I said I don't dislike you anymore. She raised her voice, her cheeks flushed. I even kind of like you." My heart instantly felt like it was going to explode. I was so excited I couldn't speak, and just pulled her into a hug. "Lin-Shi, I've liked you for a long time." I held her in my arms, my voice trembling slightly. "From the first time I saw you when we were kids, I've liked you." She was held tightly in my embrace and didn't speak, just buried her face in my chest and nodded gently. After we got together, Lin-Shi changed a lot. She no longer hid from me. She would take the initiative to hold my hand, sit by the court, and cheer for me when I played basketball, give me a massage when I was tired, and take meticulous care of me when I was sick. She would post our photos on her moments with a caption, "My idiot boyfriend," but when I pretended to be angry, she would quickly delete it and repost it, changing it to "My handsome boyfriend." She would act spoiled in front of me, saying, "Jiang-yi, I want to eat ice cream." "Jiang-yi, I want to go shopping." "Jiang-yi, hug me." Every time, I would immediately satisfy her, feeling that being needed by her was a very happy thing. When I went home for winter vacation, I told my mom and her dad that we were together. They had long seen that something was going on with us, and they weren't surprised at all. Instead, they smiled and said, "You should have been together a long time ago." Her dad patted my shoulder and said, "Xiao-yi, treat Xiao-Shi well. You can't bully her." My mom also took her hand and said, "Xiao-Shi, now that you're together, you have to get along well. Don't always bully Xiao." Lin-Shi blushed and didn't say anything, but she secretly pinched me. It hurt so much that I almost cried out, but I felt sweet in my heart. During the spring festival, I took Lin-Shi to pay New Year's visits to our relatives. Everyone laughed and teased us. "We saw there was something between you two for a long time, and now you're finally together." Lin-Shi became shy from their words, hiding behind me and tugging at the corner of my clothes. I smiled and protected her behind me. "Our little Shi is thin-skinned. Don't you all bully her." The relatives laughed even harder, calling me henpecked. I didn't get angry. I felt that being managed by Lin, she was a very happy thing. After the school year started, our relationship grew stronger and stronger. I would accompany Lin-Shi to the library to read. She would read her books, and I would watch her. I would go shopping with her. She would try on clothes, and I would be by her side, telling her how beautiful she looked. I would take her to eat her favorite snacks. When she ate too much and worried about getting fat, I would say, "It's okay, you're cuter with a little more weight." She would also come to my basketball games, handing me water and wiping my sweat. She would make me a cup of hot milk when I stayed up all night working on my thesis. When I was in a bad mood, she would awkwardly comfort me, saying, "It's okay, I'm here for you." We were like any other ordinary couple, sticking together every day, feeling like there was never enough time. We had a fight once because I forgot our anniversary. She was so angry she cried, saying I didn't care about her at all. I was at a loss, clumsily explaining I didn't do it on purpose. I've had too many exams recently. My mind is a mess. She wouldn't listen, sitting on the edge of the bed with her back to me, her shoulders trembling. I knelt in front of her, holding her hand, and said softly, Xiaoxi, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Please don't be angry, okay? I'll go buy you a gift right now. I'll buy you whatever you want. She still ignored me. I was so anxious I almost cried. Suddenly, I remembered she had said before that she liked stars, so I quickly said, how about I take you to see the stars? The observatory on the hill behind the school is open tonight. Only then did she slowly turn around, her eyes as red as a rabbit's. Really? Really? I nodded quickly. Let's go right now. It was quiet in the observatory, just the two of us. Through the telescope, we could clearly see the sky full of stars. Lin, she leaned on my shoulder and said softly, it's not that I really need a gift. I just felt like you didn't care about me. I care about you so much. I held her hand tightly. From now on, I'll mark all of our anniversaries on the calendar. I promise I won't forget again. She looked up at me, the corners of her mouth secretly turning up. That's more like it. Looking at her sparkling eyes, I couldn't help but lower my head and kiss her. The starlight fell upon us, gentle and beautiful. In the blink of an eye, junior year arrived, and everyone was busy with internships and preparing for graduate school entrance exams. Lin, she said she wanted to go to graduate school and continue her studies at her university. Without hesitation, I said, I'll study with you for the exam, so we can stay in the same school. She shot me a glare. Who needs you to accompany them? Didn't want to find a job. I can find a job anytime, but the opportunity to study for the exam with you only comes once. I smiled and gently tousled her hair. Besides, I want to spend a few more years with you. A blush appeared on her cheeks. She didn't speak, but she proactively took my hand. The days of studying for the exam were hard. We went to the library together every day, reviewed our notes, and did practice questions. When we were tired, we would lean on each other to rest. When we were hungry, we would go to the cafeteria to eat. Occasionally, we would sneak out to watch a movie and relax. Lin, she was not good at math, so I would patiently explain the problems to her, over and over again, until she understood. My English was not good, so she would supervise me memorizing vocabulary every day, give me dictation, and help me correct my essays. We encouraged and supported each other, feeling that no matter how hard or tiring it was, as long as we had each other by our side, we were not afraid of anything. On the day the postgraduate entrance exam results were released, we were all very nervous. Lin, she's hands trembled so much that she entered her exam admission ticket number incorrectly several times. I held her hand and said softly, don't be nervous. No matter the outcome, I'll be here with you. She took a deep breath and finally entered the correct number. The moment the results appeared, we both jumped up in excitement. We had both passed. Lin, she hugged me, crying a river of tears. Jiang Yi, we did it. Yes, we did it. I held her tightly, feeling that all the hard work had been worth it. Life as graduate students was busier than our undergraduate days. With each of us absorbed in our own research, we had far less time to see each other. But we would always make time to connect every day, sharing our stories and our worries. When she pulled all-nighters in the lab for her experiments, I would bring her a late-night snack. When I hit a wall writing my thesis, she would stay by my side in quiet support. Once, I went out of town for an academic conference and missed her birthday. I felt terribly guilty and rushed back the moment the conference ended, bringing her a gift and a cake I had baked myself. Though she said, it's okay, I know you're busy, her eyes lit up when she saw me, like a child who had just been given candy. I pulled her into my arms and whispered, I'm sorry. From now on, I will never miss your birthday again. She leaned into my embrace and nodded, a sweet smile spreading across her lips. As graduation from graduate school approached, I started busying myself with finding a job. While Lin, she prepared to continue on for her PhD. I wanted to stay and work in this city, so I could see her often. When she found out, she smiled and said, you don't have to stay here for me. Go where you want to go. I'll wait for you. The place I want to go is wherever you are. I looked at her seriously. Besides, I've already received an offer from a company in this city. The pay is good, and it's close to your university. She was taken aback for a moment, her eyes instantly turning red. Jiang Yi, silly girl, how could I possibly leave you all alone? I smiled and ruffled her hair. When you graduate with your doctorate, We'll get married." Blushing, she nodded, her voice choked with tears. "Okay." After graduation, I started working while Linshi continued her doctoral studies. Although we weren't in the same city, we kept in touch every day. I would visit her at school on weekends, accompanying her to the library, the cafeteria, and for walks on the athletic fields, just like when we were undergraduates. She would message me to be safe when I worked late. She would offer me encouragement and support when I encountered difficulties at work. Once, my company had an important project, and I was so overwhelmed with work that I barely slept for several days. When Linshi found out, she specially took leave to visit me at my company, bringing me a meal she had cooked herself. "No matter how busy you are, you have to eat and rest," she said, her heart aching as she looked at my haggard appearance. "I know," I said with a smile, taking the food from her. My heart felt warm. "With you here, I'm not afraid of anything." On the day Linshi graduated, I attended her commencement ceremony. She stood on the stage in her doctoral gown, confident and beautiful. Watching her receive her diploma, my heart filled with pride. After the ceremony, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, I knelt on one knee and took out the ring I had long prepared. "Linshi, I fell for you the first time I saw you. Over these many years, we've been through so much together. Laughter, tears, arguments, and reconciliations. I know I can be foolish and thoughtless at times, but my love for you has never changed. Now, will you marry me?" Linshi was stunned, her eyes instantly turning red as tears fell like broken strings of pearls. Choking back sobs, she nodded, "I do." Overjoyed, I slipped the ring onto her finger, rose, and held her tightly in my arms. Thunderous applause and cheers erupted around us. But in that moment, it felt as though we were the only two people in the entire world. Our wedding was simple, with only close family and friends invited. Linshi was in a white wedding dress, so beautiful I couldn't take my eyes off her. When we exchanged rings, she looked at me, her eyes sparkling. "Jung, thank you for always being with me, for your tolerance, and for loving me all these years." "Silly, I'm the one who should be thanking you." I held her hand tightly and said seriously, "Thank you for appearing in my life and making it so wonderful. I love you." She blushed and lowered her head, but the corners of her mouth lifted into a sweet smile. Life after marriage was simple, but also very happy. We lived in our own little home, went to work together, got off work together, cooked together, watched TV together, and took walks together. She was still the same as before, occasionally throwing a little tantrum, which I found very cute and always gave in to her. I was also still the same as before, remembering all her likes, creating little surprises for her, and being by her side whenever she needed me. One time when we went to the supermarket to buy groceries, she saw strawberries. Her eyes lit up, and she said she wanted to eat strawberry cake. I smiled and said, "Okay, let's buy them and make it ourselves at home." After we got home, we made the strawberry cake together. Flour got all over her face, making her look like a little kitten. I smiled and helped her wipe it off, but she took the opportunity to smear a handful of flour on my face too. We laughed and played together, feeling that happiness was actually very simple. It was just having each other around. A year later, she became pregnant. I was as happy as a child, taking care of her cautiously all day long, not letting her do a bit of housework, not letting her get tired. But she complained that I was too nervous, saying, "I'm not that delicate. You are two people now. How can I not be nervous?" I touched her belly, my face brimming with a happy smile. When the baby is born, I will tell him stories, teach him to play ball, and take him traveling. She said with a smile, "How do you know it's a boy? What if it's a girl?" "A girl is the same. I will spoil her like a little princess." I said seriously, "But whether it's a boy or a girl, they have to be as beautiful and as cute as you." She blushed and said nothing, but gently patted my hand, her eyes full of tenderness and happiness. After 10 months of pregnancy, she finally gave birth to a lovely daughter who looked just like her, with big, doll-like eyes. I held my tiny daughter, my heart filled with excitement and emotion. "Honey, you've worked so hard." I looked at the weak she lying in bed, and said with heartfelt sympathy, "It wasn't hard." She smiled and shook her head, her eyes full of motherly love as she gazed at our daughter. "Look how cute she is." "Yes, as cute as you." I leaned down and kissed her on the forehead. From now on, we are a family of 3. I will take good care of you and our daughter." After having a daughter, our lives became busier but also more fulfilled. Every day when I came home from work, the first thing I would do was hold our daughter and listen to her babble. All my fatigue would melt away. Lin Shi, on the other hand, focused more of her energy on our daughter, feeding her, changing her diapers, and telling her stories, her face always radiating a happy smile. On weekends, we would take our daughter to the park to play, to the mall to shop, and to visit our parents. Watching our daughter run around in the park, laughing and playing, our hearts were filled with happiness and contentment. One time, our daughter suddenly pointed at us and mumbled indistinctly, "Dada Mama." Lin Shi and I were both stunned, and then we hugged each other excitedly, feeling that this was the most beautiful sound in the world. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, our daughter grew up and started kindergarten. Like Lin Shi, she was bright and lovely and was well liked by her teachers and classmates. Every morning, Lin Shi and I would walk her to kindergarten, and she would always cling to our legs, reluctant to let us go. We would coax her with a smile. "We'll pick you up in the afternoon. You have to be a good girl and listen to the teacher at kindergarten." She would nod, but her mouth would still be pursed in a pout. Watching her back as she walked into the kindergarten, we would look at each other and smile, feeling that as our child had grown, we too had grown older. After my daughter started elementary school, she began to have her own ideas and friends. Like me, she loved sports, especially basketball. Every time there was a school basketball game, she would ask me to go and watch her play. I would always put aside my work and go to her games on time to cheer for her. Lin Shi, as before, preferred quiet and enjoyed reading. He often studied and read with our daughter. Although our family's life was simple, it was full of laughter and joy. We felt that this was the happy life we wanted. In the blink of an eye, our daughter started middle school and entered puberty, becoming a little rebellious. She no longer told us everything like she used to, and sometimes she would even argue with us. Lin Shi and I both had a bit of a headache over it, but we also knew this was a necessary part of a child's growth. We could only patiently guide and care for her. Once, our daughter was criticized by her teacher for not doing well on an exam. After coming home, she locked herself in her room and refused to come out. Lin Shi knocked on the door for a long time before she finally opened it, her eyes red. "It's okay," Lin Shi said softly, sitting beside her. "Doing poorly on one exam is nothing. Just work harder next time." Our daughter didn't say anything, but she fell into Lin Shi's arms and began to cry. I stood at the doorway, watching this scene, a warm feeling spreading through my heart. No matter how old a child gets, in their parents' eyes, they will always be a child. After her daughter entered high school, she became much more sensible and was no longer as rebellious as before. She also studied very hard. She told us that she wanted to get into the same university we had attended to meet someone she liked in college, just as we had. Lin Shi and I smiled and said, "Okay, we support you." In truth, we both knew in our hearts that no matter which university she got into, and no matter who she met in the future, as long as she was happy, we would be content. On the day of our daughter's college entrance exam, Lin Shi and I went to see her off. Watching her back as she walked into the examination hall, we looked at each other and smiled, remembering the scene of our own college entrance exams and feeling how quickly time had passed. After the exam, our daughter was admitted to the same university we had attended, just as she had wished. The day we took her to the university, she said with a smile, "Dad and Mom, this is where you two met, right? I want to find my own happiness here too." "Of course, we support you," Lin Shi and I said in unison, our eyes filled with relief and pride. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, we've grown old. After Lin Shi and I retired, we moved to a quiet little town and live a leisurely life. Every day, we take walks together, go grocery shopping together, cook together, and watch the sunset together, just like when we were young. One time, as we were sitting in the yard sunbathing and looking at the white clouds in the sky, Lin Shi suddenly said, "Jiang, do you still remember the first time we met? You made me so angry that I hid your game console in the doghouse." "Of course I remember. How could I forget?" I said with a laugh. "You were so cute back then, like a little puffed-up hamster. You're the one who's like a hamster." She glared at me, but couldn't help but laugh. We looked at each other and smiled, feeling that meeting each other in this lifetime was the greatest fortune. It was another spring festival, and our daughter brought her boyfriend to visit us. Seeing how in love they were, Lin Shi and I looked at each other and smiled, remembering how we were when we were young. In the evening, our family sat in the living room, gathered around the Christmas tree, eating Christmas dinner and chatting. The atmosphere was warm and happy. Our daughter suddenly said, "Dad, Mom, tell us your story from back then." Lin Shi and I smiled at each other and began to tell them interesting stories from our high school days. How we went from disliking to liking each other, how we studied for the postgraduate entrance exam together, how we got married and had children. Our daughter and her boyfriend listened with great interest, laughing out loud from time to time. Seeing their happy smiles, Lin Shi and I felt that all the effort and sacrifices in this life were worth it. The night was deep, and our daughter and her boyfriend were already asleep. Lin Shi and I sat in the courtyard, gazing at the stars, just as we did when we were young. "Jiang Yi, thank you." Lin Shi leaned on my shoulder and said softly, "Thank you for being with me, loving me, and accepting me all these years." "Silly, I'm the one who should be thanking you." I held her hand tightly and said in earnest, "Thank you for coming into my life and making it so beautiful. I love you, Lin Shi, for a lifetime." She looked up at me, her eyes glistening with tears, yet she smiled and said, "I love you too, Jiang Yi, for a lifetime." We looked at each other and smiled, making a promise for all of eternity under the witness of the starry sky. To have met Lin Shi in this life is my greatest fortune. In the next life, I want to meet her again, be with her again, and experience this simple yet happy life with her all over again.